Hey guys, it's Wacko. Welcome you to week 4 of CLDL Cucumber Cup 6. This week we're up against fLopunny, who I've never beaten before. I think we've played 3 times. It was supposed to be 4, but I think he had to end up FFLing against me, which was that was last season when I got like 2 or 3 forfeit wins. But anyways, he's a really good coach. He definitely has a brain when he plays, and I can tell that he's using his brain at like all times. He's thinking of ways out of bad situations at all times. So yeah, he does have a lot of mons on his team, like Scissor, Garchomp, Coco, Celesteela, Greninja, Terapagos, Infernape, Florges, Tentacruel, Leavanny, and Mega Manectric. Anything from his top 6, I was willing to take. Like, if they forced me to pick like a specific mon from the top 6, I wouldn't have been mad at all. Maybe I would have been mad about Scissor because I find no value in Scissor without Mega Stone if I can't use Lopunny with Mega Stone. So I wouldn't have taken Scissor, but I would have taken like Chomp. I would have taken Steela, Gren, Terapagos, Coco. Even though like I don't like Gren, but I would have taken it because it's just a decent like special attacker, and I felt like my team kind of needed that. But it's fine. Terapagos would have been alright too. Would have been a third normal type actually, but Sawsbuck doesn't count. Like, I'm not using that man ever. If there was a chance to use Sawsbuck, it would have been week 1. So yeah, sorry to all the Sawsbuck fans out there. Now, I thought this match was pretty tough to prep for, but it felt pretty possible with my prep. So I thought like it was a pretty even matchup, I feel. I felt like I could lose to Terapagos, I felt like I could lose to Gren, or even like a well-played like Infernape or an SD Scissor. But he really struggles against Gouging Fire. So that was the first mon I thought of on my build, was Dragon Dance, Morning Sun, Temper Flare, and Dragon Claw. We are a very bulky Gouge, but with my next set, I felt like I could handle everything with Dragon Dance, and the only problem that I'd face is Toxic, I think, which suppose I could have ran Lumberry, but I did run Protective Pads because I wanted to be able to Dragon Claw the Garchomp without getting like super ultra punished. In case I was low and I was like, I need to click a button on Garchomp, like, you know how that is, right? So yeah, but our next set though, because I guess I'll go into Bellybolt first, because Bellybolt has a really good matchup into everything, I feel, except for Garchomp. So I was like, I could just click Acid Spray, or I could click Toxic if he brings the Garchomp, because I will expect Garchomp to come in. And Bellybolt is pretty safe against like everything on his team, I feel. If they touch me, I get Electromorphosis, and like Thunderbolt's gonna do a lot, plus the Electric Terrain boosting it when Terrain is active. So I felt pretty safe with the Bellybolt bring, and like clicking Toxic means Garchomp will take 6%, and then the next turn he's gonna take 12, and that's all I needed for Gouging Fire to beat the Garchomp. So it's like, okay, that's a good bring. And then our next mon, I brought Life Orb, Torn T, Bleak Wind, Heat Wave, Icy Wind, U-Turn. Pretty similar set to last week without the... I think I ran a Poison move last week, but I needed the Icy Wind for Garchomp. Because I think not having to deal with a Garchomp is better than having the prep on Gouge to kill it. And that was also my philosophy with Glow King. I ran Shuka Berry for the Garchomp. I wasn't super scared of like knockoff Scissor. But I ran Ice Beam, Fire Blast, which KO'd his Scissor and the Garchomp with the 188 modest EVs I had. Also max HP with Psychic Noise and Slack Off. I think I could have ran like AV with Sludge Bomb, because I think it would have been a better bring versus Coco, maybe Terapagos. But I also felt like I needed something to deal with Garchomp. Hindsight's 2020 though, and like I'm just trying to prep for everything. When teams are like this top heavy, it's so hard to like prep, I feel. Like it's just kind of hard to know like what you should do in every situation. But yeah, that was my Glow King. I am modest, so I'm not very defensive, which is I think most of the reason I brought Bellybolt. Because in theory, I could have argued I could have chipped Garchomp with like anything else on my team, but that's Bellybolt is what I chose to do because it baits in Garchomp specifically. My next set was Iron Treads with Ice Spinner, Earthquake, Rapid Spin, Volt Switch. I ran Choppleberry and I changed that last second because I was like, Infernape seems really scary, and to be honest, I don't think he's gonna raw click a fire move into me. I thought he'd maybe click fighting more often, but I think with the Mons I brought, I think fire is more free, but either way, the berry doesn't end up mattering, spoiler alert. But yeah, I was a little bit scared of that. I was going to be eject button, but I also felt like I needed something to like deal with Coco, and I didn't want to like have to switch in twice on Coco, if that makes sense. I also should have thought about just running like AV, because AV would have helped deal with like just all of his special attackers, and I think I would have been a little bit easier, but it's fine. I prepped for Infernape. At least I prepped for Infernape. You know what? Whatever. Lopunny here is okay. Its stabs go pretty hard. Both of his steel types are neutral to fighting, unfortunately, but that's okay. I didn't really feel like running Fire Punch for Scissor. I didn't feel like running Ice Punch or Triple Axle for Garchomp. But the actual purpose behind Lopunny in this matchup was to fake out the Terapagos if needed, and then close combat kill it. But also for Healing Wish, because in case Gouge does get chipped down and I need to switch out and preserve it, then I can Healing Wish and then bring it back in later. So that was the idea. Now getting into the game, now let me change the scene because I've actually recorded this video already. However, why is it? There it is. However, I was recording the game looked like this, so I had to re-record it. Yeah, as you can see, he brought Chomp, Coco, Gren, Terapagos, Celesteal, and Scissor, which is kind of what I expected. I also kind of maybe expected him to bring like Tentacruel, probably not Florges, but like I don't know. I felt like I had to prep for like specific mons. So I felt pretty safe into this matchup. Also, thank God they added a volume feature to Showdown. I'm not going to be using it in my videos probably, but it is nice to not be blasted back. So yeah, I'm going to lead with Lopunny into his Greninja, and I was like, okay, good lead. I expected him to go hard Steela, so instead of clicking Fake Out like I usually do, and like I have said in the past, like clicking Fake Out is like such a bait thing because everything could just Covert Cloak slam this into an Oblivion, but every time I click Fake Out, I personally feel like it's safe to click Fake Out because I'm aware of Covert Cloak, so I'm like always scouting that, which is why like I think Lopunny takes a lot more skill to use now because you actually have to like you actually kind of have to think about Fake Out and stuff. But yeah, I ran close combat into the Celesteela. I expected him to maybe be Helmet, but I'm not disappointed. I'm not unhappy about him being leftovers. I actually kind of prefer him to be leftovers. I can bring him Bellybolt. He does go for EQ, which is a good read on his behalf, because I think I considered going into Torn. But I felt like I also didn't really have a reason to go Torn just yet when Bellybolt was kind of expendable, but spoiler alert, it's not. So he's going to go Garchomp, and as I said, Garchomp is always coming in on Bellybolt, which is why Toxic is such a good move on Bellybolt, because it just baits in all these ground types. Because even like Bellybolt, like Zeraora, they kind of struggle against like ground types, but at least Zeraora can kind of make a couple of them not want to switch in, because like it gets play rough for Garchomp and stuff like that. So like at least you'd have to think a little tiny bit. But with Bellybolt, it's like its bad coverage almost works for it. Chilling Water would have also been nice to run on Belly Bolt, but I was Acid Spray. He's going to get up Rocks, which I think fair enough, but it's not like Belly Bolt had anything better to do. I'm going to Icy Wind into the Scissor, and I think here he should be expecting a Heat Wave, but I felt like I didn't have to risk it just yet. So I'm going to Heat Wave, and I think I probably could have clicked U-Turn or Icy Wind again, but yeah, I'm going to go into fLopunny, take 5% from Rocks. He's going to Ice Beam, take 49%, and I'm going to get Frozen. Hooray! We love lucky Greninjas for some reason. I don't know what the fuck it is with Greninja being like so lucky, but yeah. Yeah, we get Frozen, which really sucks because I would have loved fLopunny to stick around to chip things. It was the fastest mon in the field. It hit everything. Whatever, I guess. We'll be Frozen Solid, and Ice Beam will knock me out, unfortunately. If Fire Punch would have unthawed me, I swear to God. But I think he's Scarf Gren, so I'm going to go into Treads here. He will go Hard Scissor on my Rapid Spin that does pretty much nothing. And then he Mega Evolves, I Volt Switch, doing 12%. I'm going to bring in my Torn because I didn't feel like I needed to bring in Gouge just yet. I want to chip things a little bit more with Torn, and unfortunately he actually just stays in with Scissor, but that kind of works out for me because I get to bring in Gouge for free, so I guess I get to go with my original plan anyways. I will Dragon Dance and see Close Combats for absolutely nothing. I was low-key expecting him to have Toxic, like low-key. I was expecting him to have Toxic on that set, but he will CC again, and I'll be able to Morning Sun, and he's just gonna click CC again, but I think he knows now that I have Morning Sun, like, he kinda needs to like do something about that, and yeah. So I am Morning Sun. I will Temper Flare. Kinda wish I had Flare Blitz for this, but unfortunately I did not have Flare Blitz, and he will be able to get off a Toxic on me. Temper Flare will knock him out. And down goes the Tapu Koko. Terapagos is going to come in now. And I think at this point I'm kind of forced to stay in because I don't have another setup opportunity with Gouge. So I'd rather just not allow Terapagos to set up. He will Tera Starstorm and then switch into Celesteela. I kind of expected him to go Steela because I didn't think he would stay in with Terap, because Terap without like setup and being so low on health is just gonna die to like Glow King or Treads coming in, especially with the terrain up. So I figured he'd sack Selly. I thought Garchomp actually had purpose in this matchup still, where Selly kind of doesn't because fLopunny's already dead. And like it kind of deals with Treads, but I also don't think he struggles too much with Treads when he has the Scarf Gren. But yeah, so I'm gonna Temper Flare, and Gouge will die. Slowking's gonna come in. He's gonna Dark Pulse. So the reason I went Slowking here is because I thought it covered everything the best, because I am Shuka for Chomp, and then I could Psychic Noise spam the Terapagos. I really wanted to go Belly Bolt, but I was scared of him bringing in Chomp and just clicking EQ. So yeah, Dark Pulse will do a little bit over half because I'm not especially defensive. And does a bit over half to Treads too, but yeah, Treads is gonna have to go down, unfortunately. I think maybe I could have preserved Treads, but Scissor was, I think it was healthy enough to just kind of live EQs anyways, so I felt like Treads was a little bit more of an easy sack. Garchomp is gonna come in on my Slack Off. I don't know why I clicked Slack Off. I probably could have just clicked like Acid Spray or doubled into like Torn maybe, but it's fine. He's gonna get up his Rocks. I will Acid Spray him, lower his special defense. He'll go Scissor as I go Galarian Slowking. I'm not really sure why he went into that, but I think that's fair. Bullet Punch will do 41% as Fire Blast will knock him out. Terapagos is going to come in. It's going to Rapid Spin. And I think here what I should have done is click Slack Off. and then start spamming Psychic Noise, but I wasn't sure. I don't know. I think in hindsight, I definitely should have just clicked Slack Off and try to stay healthy with Slow King here. But yeah, he will Rapid Spin as I Psychic Noise. Does a decent amount of damage to him, though, honestly. Tera Starstorm will knock him out. Heal Block will wear off, unfortunately. And he'll be able to Calm Mind as I click Toxic. And the fact that he clicked Calm Mind here was telling that he was definitely a Rest. So yeah, he is Rest and Resto Chesto, which sucks. Acid Spray will break his Terra Shell, and it's bringing down his defense quite a bit. However, he will be able to get the 2-shot on me. I don't know why I Acid Sprayed again. I probably should have clicked T-Bolt because I had the charge, and I could have maybe gotten the T-Bolt para. But either way, at this point, Greninja was winning the game. So yeah, Tera Starstorm will knock me out. I will bring in Torn, and then he will click Tera Starstorm, and I will die, and that'll be GG's to Fac. There is no beating fLopunny. In fact, Geo told me if I wanted to beat fLopunny to be a seed lower than him, but unfortunately, according to Challenge, which is like the scheduling site that they used for Cucumber Cup, I was top seed, which is funny. But I think that kind of makes sense. My differential is pretty high, but I'm not really sure how me being in like first was like calculated, because I don't know. I don't really understand that. But me and Fac were one of the last of 5 coaches to be undefeated, and unfortunately we got defeated this week. So yeah, next week hopefully we'll go up against a 4-1 team. There should be like maybe a couple of them. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, we did take a little bit of a fall, which is okay. Last season, I think I lost like week 1, and I had to work my way up again, and we did all right. But I would have loved to take him on from Fac's team, because I felt like after facing Barigo last week and taking Gengar, like my team felt kind of disgusting. Like it's kind of good. My team is good and all. It's just like it could be better, and I think if I'm going into playoffs, I'm going to be struggling a bit because of my anti-mons are just not as good as I'd like them to be. I do have 2 dragons. I have a special attacker that I think is really fallen off in this gen. Like Gengar is not good. I don't think it's a very good mon. But it was the only special attacker there, and if I could have taken Gran or Terapagos, like I would have been fine to bench Gengar or bench Roaring Moon or something. I probably could have taken, I might have taken Gren, honestly, so I could bench Roaring Moon, but I'm not sure. I probably would have asked around. People probably would have told me to take Terapagos, but I don't know. Even like Coco would have helped because I do have Billy Bolt and Treads. I think Train is very fun for both of them. Or even just like resetting terrains with Feeny Coco would have been decent, but it's fine. I believe Fac took my Gouging Fire, which fair enough. Gouging Fire is like really good, but yeah. So yeah, I will see you guys next week. Hopefully we'll get a win, and hopefully we'll be able to take a mon that I think is worthwhile taking, because I'm barely using any of my anti-mons. I have 3 of them, and I've only used Roaring Moon once, and I've used Gouge once. Nothing else, so yeah, we'll see. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week.